Well, let's go out to check on this storm. Oh. Dinger. Someone told me to figure out what you want to do in life. Ruby Crown Kinglet. To figure out what you want to do in life, you need to sit down, get on the internet, download some pictures of what you want, and make a vision board. So I did just that, and here they are. These aren't my picks, and I would like to credit all of the photographers, but I don't remember where I got each pick from. Anyhow, these are snakes I've never seen in my life, despite residing in their area. And that's part of the wonder of seeing a snake, is you can be in the same area as them and never see them. Before I tell you how it went for me this year, let's check in with some of my friends and see what kind of cool things they saw in 2022. ¿Cómo fue tu año 2022 para los serpientes?
Pues fue bastante bueno. Logré aumentar mis cascabeles. Pude encontrar Crotalus lepidus, cerastes y molossus. 3 más. Encontré una Willardi muerta. También tuve otros lifers como Rhinocheilus antoni y Microroides eurixanthus.
Ah, qué cool. We just found boa constrictor. Common name, same name as the Latin name. Anyways, this one's a real sweetheart. Didn't want to bite or anything. And it's a pretty decent size too. We're about to go let him go and look for some mangrove cuckoos. Los perros.
I think my 2022 personally was pretty good for snakes. Definitely encountered a lot of Western Diamondbacks, but I think the best encounter that I had in 2022 was definitely the lyre snake back in May, I think, in the spring.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, I think it was a lifer for both of us. Yeah, they've been kind of like, at least mentally, my main target for a couple years, and then finally released the Nemesis snake. Now I guess I'm allowed to see them again, so that's pretty cool.
Now you're gonna see them everywhere, right?
That's how it seems to work with birds, so I think snakes are probably the same way. We'll see. That's a pretty good sized one. Heloderma suspectum. Little size comparison there. Sonoran Desert. And a real human.
You know, a lot of stuff I record, you don't even put in your videos.
Can't put everything in.
Anyways, so the snake that I think was most memorable was probably the lyre snake, just because Jerry wouldn't stop talking about it. So that's the one that I remember, because it was to the point where it was very annoying. So I think my favorite snake this season was the speckled rattlesnake, because it was sparkly and very pretty. Don't use this. This is so stupid.
I mean, usually my ID for whip snake is just like literally a whip. You see a snake basically like fly off the road. That's a whip snake. Emily saw two one day when she was out by herself, and I didn't get to see them, and so that was my first one.
So my favorite snake sighting of 2022 was actually one of my favorite animals I've ever had the pleasure of holding in my hands in my life, and that was a common blunt-headed tree snake in Ecuador at the Milpay Bird Sanctuary. And I was out on a night walk with John and another traveler, and I saw this snake sitting very still in some bushes, and I took a look at it. It looked like it was safe to handle, and I just sort of lifted it up like this, and it stayed completely rigid. And it felt so different than other snakes I'd handled before, because whereas a lot of snakes, the cross section would sort of be circular, with this tree snake, it was sort of more like this. It was sort of laterally compressed, and feeling that rigidness in my hands was like a piece of stiff wire, and I'd never felt anything like that before.
Hi, I'm Micah Riegner, and it's not been a particularly good snake year for me. Nothing really jumps out, but I did see a cool lizard. I was with Chris Benish leading a Field Guides Oaxaca tour back in March. We were up in the mountains, up in the conifer zone, on a stretch of road with a lot of moss in the trees, moss in the understory, and we see this little animal cross. I ran over to check it out, and it was a Oaxaca arboreal alligator lizard. A beautiful thing with green and black bands on it. So I picked it up, we got a lot of photos, and then released it on the other side of the road.
My highlights for 2022, one, it has to be obvious, was the Sonoran lyre snake. It was a lifer. It's mysterious. If you're not a herper, you might not ever have heard of a lyre snake, and they feel exotic and tropical. They feel like a colubrid with a little bit of viper influence in them. And yeah, it met and exceeded all my expectations. I was lucky enough to see 3 this year, one of them being a different species, the Mexican lyre snake, Trimorphodon tau. And come on. Okay, my next herp highlight was variable sand snake. It's an adorable little ring snake, usually like a pale orange and black, and when one side of its body wiggles one way, the other is like compelled to wiggle evenly the other way, almost like one of those wooden snakes, and they can just swim in the sand as if it were a pool. So that wins the award for most adorable. Now, most badass snake of the year? Easy. That was Crotalus tigris, the tiger rattlesnake. I thought it would be easy to turn up if I put in the miles and hours in the right habitat. It took me 8 nights, 8 tries to do it, and finally did it, and what an incredible, it's got to be one of my favorite, if not my favorite rattlesnake. Small-headed, variable coloration. The one we watched was a sweetheart, and having got our target, the next night we said, might as well go out again. That night, 3 of them. We saw 3 of them. So it goes to show, the worst you can do is have a good adventure, but you never know when you're going to have a great time. Speaking of that, I would be remiss in not mentioning a 4th herp highlight. When I was wandering by myself in Sonora one night, I was having good luck with the snakes. Got my lifer Yaqui black-headed snake and Brahmini blind snake. I saw a few other snakes, and when I thought I was done seeing herps on my way back, all of a sudden, ambling right out of my path was an unexpected beaded lizard, and I let out the holy ding-dongs. It's not an exclamation I say lightly, and I got a blurry picture. I didn't follow it into the woods, but just seeing it and getting a brief shot, that was a rush. Now I'd love to know how your snake year went. What was your favorite snakes you saw this year? Was it a good snake year? Or maybe 2023 is going to be your snake year? Well, I'd love to hear about it. And thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next one. And we've been looking 3 hours for us. First it was rattlesnakes, now it's snake of any kind. And nothing yet. But we're not going to stop till we find something.
We're also really hungry. I don't know if you can tell. It's humid.